Welcome to the YouTube account Track Party. In this video we are going to talk about the little facts we know about Titanic. On April 15, 1912, at 2:20 a.m., what was deemed one of the most luxurious and safe ships ever built, hit an iceberg and sank off the coast of Newfoundland, taking more than 1,500 lives. The ship, the world's largest passenger ship at the time, was on its maiden voyage, headed from Southampton, England, to New York City. It would take 73 years for the ship's wreckage to be found. Dr. Robert Ballard and scientist Jean-Louis Michie located the remains of the Titanic on September 1, 1985. While the tragedy has inspired myriad movies, books, and articles, the ship and its passengers still hold secrets and little-known facts that might surprise you. American silent film actress Dorothy Gibson was one of the approximately 700 survivors of the collision. Upon arriving in New York City unscathed, she immediately began filming Saved from the Titanic, the first film to depict the events of the sinking. It was released in May 1912, a month after the crash. She is famous for wearing the same clothes and shoes in the movie as she had worn during the actual sinking. While the film was successful, it only exists in memories now. The only known print of the film was destroyed in a fire. Another survivor, Lawrence Beasley, tried to crash the filming of the 1958 film, A Night to Remember, because he wanted to symbolically go down with the ship. According to IMDb, Beasley was on the set of A Night to Remember, which is considered the most accurate of all Titanic films. He allegedly tried to jump into the scene depicting the ship's sinking, in order to symbolically go down with the ship. Legend has it that director Roy Ward Baker refused, as it would have been a union violation and could have halted filming. Beasley was a survivor from the second class, and wrote a memoir about his experience entitled The Loss of the SS Titanic. Even though, by all accounts, the third-class accommodations on the Titanic were much better than those on an average ship, they were still pretty rough. The total amount of third-class passengers ranged from 700 to 1,000, and they all had to share two bathtubs. Roger Brickou was the Titanic's cello player and just 21 years old when he perished during the ship's sinking. But Brickou wasn't officially declared dead until 2000, though all of the musicians died on April 15, 1912. The French army even cleared his name and officially put Brickou to rest, but didn't succeed until 88 years after the Titanic sank. They have been called heroes, and apparently played music for more than 2 hours after hitting the iceberg. The ship's lookouts, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee, didn't have access to binoculars during the journey, and therefore couldn't see very far. The ship's second officer was replaced at the last minute, and forgot to hand off the key to the locker that housed the ship's binoculars. The key resurfaced at auction in 2010, where it was sold for over $130,000. According to the official 1912 inquiry findings, only 37 seconds elapsed between actually seeing the iceberg, calling downstairs, and deciding what course of action to take. Fleet was the lookout who called out the now famous words, "Iceberg, right ahead." He survived the sinking, but tragically went on to commit suicide in 1965, after the death of his wife. On the centennial anniversary of the Titanic's sinking, a prankster removed a memorial wreath from his gravestone, and replaced it with a pair of binoculars and a note apologizing for the lateness of the binoculars. 8 men died during the construction of the ship, but only 5 of the names are known: Samuel Scott, John Kelly, William Clark, James Dobbin, and Robert Murphy. A plaque memorializing the 8 men in Belfast was unveiled in 2012. The richest man aboard was John Jacob Astor IV, who was widely believed to have been the richest man in the world at the time of his death. Astor was not just the richest man on the Titanic, but widely believed to be the richest man in the world at the time of his death. He was worth an estimated $150 million, or $3.5 billion in today's dollars. Astor was on the ship returning home from a months-long honeymoon with his new wife, Madeline Talmadge Force, who, at 18 years of age, was 28 years younger than him. The extended honeymoon was actually a way to escape society's gossip. Astor had just been divorced within 2 years of his new marriage, which was relatively unheard of back then. Astor's body was one of the few that was recovered in the Atlantic Ocean after the ship went down. Among other possessions, he was found with $2,440 in his pocket, roughly $60,000 today. Multiple newspapers mistakenly reported that the crash caused no fatalities, including the Daily Mail, the Belfast Telegraph, and the World. In the race to publish a headline about the disaster, numerous newspapers gave families and loved ones false hope about the sinking of the Titanic. The World reported no fatalities, the Daily Mail declared no lives lost, and the Belfast Telegraph claimed no danger of loss of life. American newspapers were able to take advantage of the time difference, and their headlines were more accurate. The New York Times, for example, ran the headline, "Titanic sinks 4 hours after hitting iceberg, 866 rescued by Carpathia, probably 1,250 perish, is May safe, Mrs. Astor maybe, noted names missing." If you like a video, please subscribe to Chanel Party Track. Thanks.